protesting because right now we are standing on the dead bodies of our mothers, our fathers, our brothers and sisters. We have become IDPs in our own very country. These killings have persisted for years. A lot of talks have gone on. Only last year, 500,182 people were displaced. We have 21 IDP camps in Benue. These killings won't stop. Up until this moment, nothing is being done.
Yesterday, over 200 people were killed in their sleep. What kind of a thing is this? We are farmers. We are an agrarian state. What are we going to do with the people that are just roaming the streets?
Now, from my own view, what I have observed, two basic things, or three basic things. One, issue of land, indigenous, non-indigenous, critical, which is political. That is supposed to be sorted out politically. Secondly, the issue of the movement of animals. I have told people over time that when they say farmer herders clash means two things are moving. But if a farm is standing and an animal comes in, it's not a clash.
We've been running from our ancestral home to Makodi. Coming to Makodi, people have been running again from Agan to Yellowwater to this place. And the Makodi itself is not safe. The other day it was not bank here. Where are we running to? We continue running from these headers.
So we lost quite a number of lives. When I say the official figures we have include those who are right on the ground, the DSIs, the military, and the police. Then we also try to do some head counts. So once we get from those angles, we target official report.
Why I sympathize with the Benue people, I've spoken to the governor. The leadership and people of Benue should accept our condolences.
Land, deaths, silence. For over a decade, Benue has been under siege, villages burnt, farmers butchered, entire communities displaced, and yet the killings continue with little justice and fewer answers. Why is Benue State bleeding? Is it farmer-herder clash or something far more sinister? Is this a fight for survival or a campaign of silent conquest? Let's find out in this video. To understand the violence, you must understand the land. Benue is called the food basket of the nation, not by accident. Its vast farmland feeds millions. Its rivers nourish crops. Its soil is among the most fertile in West Africa. But this blessing has become a curse because those who control land control power. And suddenly, from 2010 onwards, something changed. Armed herdsmen, mostly of Fulani descent, began attacking farming communities. Homes were burned, men slaughtered, women raped, children turned into orphans. The attacks weren't random. They were strategic. They happened at night, in coordinated ways. Entire villages were wiped off the map. And still, no one stopped them. No arrests, no trial, no justice. For many in Benue, the question shifts from who is doing this to why is no one stopping it? Because in Nigeria, silence is rarely innocent.
Now, from my own view, what I have observed, two basic things, or three basic things. One, issue of land, indigenous, non-indigenous, critical, which is political. That is supposed to be sorted out politically. Secondly, the issue of the movement of animals. I have told people over time that when they say farmer herders clash means two things are moving. But if a farm is standing and an animal comes in, it's not a clash. It's somebody entering somebody's property. So we must find solutions to which means if the animals don't move, we don't have issues. Now again, because of that, again, we have issues of rustling of animals. Which means if we don't even rustle animals again that are moving, again, there won't be most of this problem happening. So those are the three critical aspects that we must be able to address clearly. And like I said, most of it is political solution that needs to come into it. Because it's not what the military can solve. What we can stop is to try and stop people from attacking each other.
See, when one incident happened, hundreds of incidents have been prevented that are not known to the public. So that this happened does not mean that we have not been deploying. We have actually been deploying. We've been working together with the military and with other security agencies to ensure that this reign of impunity of these criminal elements ends, and we are committed to this. This attack on the peaceful Yelewata community is one attack too many. It is not just an attack on the people of Benue State. It's an attack on the entire nation, and we are not going to accept it. The people of this community are not alone. We are with them. The entire Nigerian communities are with them. A day will come when these bandits will come to operate as they used to, and they will never return.
The mainstream media call it a farmer-header clash, but in reality, clashes imply two armed groups fighting. But what happened when one side is ambushed in their sleep? When entire farming villages, Tifi, Idoma, Agatu, are attacked by armed men with military-grade weapons. These are not spontaneous fights. These are calculated raids. And for years, the federal government called it communal misunderstanding. But what kind of misunderstanding leaves over 5,000 dead and 1.5 million displaced? What kind of misunderstanding targets Christian farming communities? Because that's the pattern that many have observed. The victims are often Christians. The attackers allegedly are radicalized headers of foreign military groups with Islamist backing. A coincidence or a quick campaign of ethnic cleansing? Benue people believe the latter, and they say this is not just about grazing routes, it is about land, identity and survival.
Because I think that what actually has happened is that nobody is telling the truth about the problem in Benue and the Middle Belt. And we are wanting to be politically correct by saying, and I saw that in a major statement today, by saying that there is no religion involved in this crisis. Well, a statement today from the office of the SGF, for example, who said it's not about
Secretary to the government.
Yeah, Secretary to the government, who said there is no religion involved in this. There's no ethnicity. It's an economic situation.
And you believe that there is religion and ethnicity?
Of course, I do believe.
But tell us why.
Because this is not the first time. The people of Benue know that they have had an issue of jihadism in the past 100 years, that ended up in Benue. The people who took the jihad, who will never want to end, want to continue that jihad. The last jihad ended up in Benue. I used to joke with my Igbo friends and brothers and said, you know, Christianity is actually stabilized in Igbo land because we stopped the jihad in Benue. And so they want to continue that jihad, and the Benue is the center for them of that jihad. They believe that once they're able to overrun Benue, then they can reach the ocean, as they had always thought. And this is the narrative that nobody wants to talk about. We want to be politically correct, and therefore we are saying, oh, well, there's nothing religious about this, or there's actually nothing even ethnic about this. You're talking about a people who are going into Benue to massacre people from week to week. And when the matter comes up, they say, oh, well, you know, please try and find reconciliation with the people. When did the Fulanis, who are doing the massacre in Benue, become members of Benue? The state was created in the 70s. The languages that are used on the radio are Tiv, Idoma, Igede, and Etulo. Where is the Fulani community in Benue? And now you are saying reconcile with the people who are there. How do you reconcile with the people whom you do not know? These guys come in the night, they come by river, they come by canoe, they get out of the canoe, they get out and go out and kill people, get back into the canoes and run back. They don't belong to Benue. They hope that continually, by decimating the people who are in the north of the Benue, they will be able to occupy that land, drive them out as they are, kill the people, they destroy the churches, they burn the homes, they take over, they take the people's food and offer to cows, and gradually they are inching into Benue. This is the situation, and that's the story which I like to tell anybody. And it's an unfortunate situation, because I think that the government is taking this matter not as seriously as it should. The same situation we have in Plateau, the same situation we have in Benue. Overrun Plateau, overrun Benue, and then move on. This is a story that must be told, and that story must be told openly, and we don't need to be politically correct. We want to be able to solve a problem. You must get to the root cause of the problem.
Indeed.
In 2017, a bold decision was made. Governor Samuel Ortom signed the anti-open grazing law. It banned open grazing and encouraged ranching, a modern solution to an age-old problem. But instead of peace, it triggered war. Meiti Allah, the Fulani Herders Association, opposed it bitterly. They called it discriminatory. They warned of consequences. Then came the killing. In January of 2018, over 70 people were massacred in Logo and Guma local government areas just days into the new year. It was a message, and the message was clear. Resist us and you die. Governor Ortom cried to Abuja for help, but help never came. Instead, he was accused of inciting ethnic tension. He was painted as the problem, not the protector. While the governor fought with words, his people died with silence. So, was the open anti-grazing law a mistake? Or was it the first real attempt to resist what some call a hidden expansionist agenda? Either way, it came at a cost, a deadly one.
This is all about land. If these killings by our enemies are to deter us from operating the anti-open grazing law in Benue State that was legally processed, they have failed. Because we will not be cowed, we will not be deterred by their act.
Our suspicion is clear that this is from Ghana. This act is perpetuated by Ghana and his group, who constituted himself into a terror group and has been terrorizing the people. This is not the first time. He has been killing. He killed civilian JTF, killed vigilante group, killed traditional rulers, killed his uncles, and has been killing all over the place. Now I'm even expecting the security agencies to have arrested those who killed these people. I'm here personally to find out, and I've already confirmed, none of the herdsmen are killed or were attacked. It was my people that were attacked. So this is not allowed.
The international community is watching. And a voice will rise someday, somewhere, to question what is going on here. We have suffered and suffered enough.
Now, here's where the story gets darker. From 2015 to 2023, under President Muhammadu Buhari, a Fulani Muslim, Benue cries for justice fell on deaf ear. Security agencies looked the other way. As alleged by the people of Benue, survivors spoke of attackers in military uniforms. Villagers claimed soldiers withdrew hours before attacks, and every time Ortom cried out, he was met with silence or a rebuke. In 2021, Ortom survived an assassination attempt. He blamed Fulani militias. The presidency dismissed it. The DSS never made any arrests, and the killings continued. Now, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, hopes were very high, but months into his presidency, attacks still happen. IDP camps are overflowing. The killers remain ghosts. So we ask again, is this incompetence or quiet approval? Why is it that bandits in Northwest get dialogue, but farmers in Benue get coffins? Why does it feel like some lives matter more than the others? And who benefits when Benue's indigenous people are pushed off their ancestral lands? The answer may lie in politics, religion, and raw ambition.
See, when one incident happened, hundreds of incidents have been prevented that are not known to the public. So that this happened does not mean that we have not been deploying. We have actually been deploying. We've been working together with the military and with other security agencies to ensure that this reign of impunity of these criminal elements ends, and we are committed to this. They can see the signs that warns that there is an impending danger. They should please give information to us. And I want to assure them that any information given to our commanders on ground will be treated with utmost confidentiality.
To come here and see the communities, to also commiserate with His Excellency, the Governor of Benue State, and the good people of Benue State. Like the IGP mentioned, this is one too many killings. We are tired of innocent souls being killed, and we're here to ensure that we address such. From now, I'll be going to see my commanders, and we have to change our strategy. We're going to look inward and see how we can address it. But like we mentioned, we cannot do it alone without the community, without the state. We need everybody to be part of it. We understand that even before now, we used to have, even within us, people that compromise and give information. Because going around, you see the way some of the burnings were made, they were targeted, and which means they had insiders. And so I've discussed with the communities, the traditional rulers, with the clergy, for us to work united.
Let's follow the money. Benue's land is gold. Agriculturally and strategically. Control the land, you control the middle belts. Some say the real agenda is demographic engineering. Displace indigenous Christian farmers, replace them with loyal settlers, and shift electoral power. Already, over 1.5 million people live in IDP camps across Benue. That's 1.5 million voters removed from their central polling units. Meanwhile, there are reports, unconfirmed but persistent, of strange settlements springing up in abandoned villages. Are these refugees, or are they part of a slow-motion land grab? Human rights groups have called it ethnic cleansing by proxy, but without investigations, without arrests, without media coverage. Who will believe them? But silence is louder than denial. And in Nigeria, what you don't say can be deadlier than what you do say. Benue's land is being weaponized, its people are being erased, and the nation is sadly quietly watching this massacre going on. Now, here is the future staring at us. 2027 is coming, and Benue will matter. It has over 2 million registered voters. It is a swing state in the Middle Belt, and it is politically aware. But here is the fear. Will Benue even be able to vote? Will displaced communities be allowed to return? Or will insecurity be used as an excuse to keep them out of the ballots in 2027? Will election take place in ghost towns? Because if voters can return, their voices are silenced and indefinitely and permanently. And that's not just political suppression, that's demographic conquest. Meanwhile, Abuja politicians are already aligning. Appointments are being used to win loyalties. Resources are being allocated to divide blocks. And still, Nigerians are dying. The people of Benue are dying. So what's the plan? Rebuild destroyed villages, rehabilitate IDP camps, prosecute the killers, or will it be business as usual? Until Benue is bled dry, the choice belongs to those in power, but the consequences belongs to all of us. Let's not sugarcoat it. What is happening in Benue is a slow-motion genocide. Thousands dead, millions displaced, zero justice. And while politicians speak of unity, the reality is ethnic tension, land politics, and weaponized silence. Benue is weeping, and Nigeria is looking away. But how long before this violence spreads? How long before other Middle Belt states face the same fate? Because a nation that ignores genocide eventually drowns in it. So to the government, your silence is complicity. To the media, your denial is dangerous. And to the Nigerian people, Your indifference is betrayal. Benue does not just need aid, it needs justice, it needs truths, it needs peace, not politics. And until that happens, the bloodshed will continue. What do you think? Are the Benue killings about land or religion, politics or ethnic cleansing? Is the government failing or facilitating? Should Nigeria hold an independent inquiry into the Benue massacres? Let us know in the comments. If you believe justice matters, like this video. If you think silence is deadly, share this video. And if you want more deep dive, honest political documentaries, do subscribe to this channel, because the fight for truth begins with awareness, and Benue's blood must not be spilled in vain.